Hi everyone, Gerard Scarpese here, back with another razor lesson. You can see I've pre-cut the one side here of Josephine, and now I'm working on the second. I'm working from the front using diagonal back sections like we normally would with face framing, but there's going to be a little bit of a twist when I actually come into frame. Subtle thing, but something that's making things for me a bit more interesting. I'll do it first and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. So I've cut in the bang. Now right where you'd normally go for your face frame, I'm going to skip. I'm not going to cut it all. 1, 2, 3, no cutting. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, cutting. Skip. 1, 2, 3, no cutting. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, cutting. Skip. 1, 2, 3, no cutting. And then we're down onto the ends. Okay, so a little bit of background on this. Simple idea. We were in Parma with our good friend Tom Connell, artistic director for Davinez, shooting a class called Creative Potential for Hairbrain Live, and I really suggest you go and watch that. It's actually completely complimentary. If you go to hairbrainlive.me, we've got like 8 hours of Tom and Ashley Hodges doing incredible work. Tom, you know, one of the ideas that he showed was this kind of take on a face frame. He did it using the scissor, kind of slicing or slide cutting. And I've been really dying to try it with the razor, like my kind of interpretation. So here we go, skip, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, don't cut, then skip, then cut. So a simple thing that just gives kind of cool peaks and valleys to a face frame, just to kind of change up the way that it moves and lives, you know, so you don't have this kind of perfect angle. So again, Tom Connell, thank you for that inspiration. Again, if you haven't had a chance to check out Creative Potential, it's completely complimentary, compliments of Davinez. It's actually, I think it's over 8 hours of lessons that you can kind of bite into, exploring Tom's creative concepts of how he approaches things. Okay, so again, natural fall, not cutting here. So no cutting, no cutting, no cutting, no cutting. Then I start cutting. No cutting, no cutting, no cutting, no cutting. Then I start cutting. Subtle thing, you know, Tom, as I said, he did it with the scissor, which was awesome. I've tried it a few times with the scissor. It's definitely more difficult to do. So I said, let me see what happens if I just kind of start doing it with the razor, because, you know, the intuitiveness of the tool. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. I've already kind of pre-cut this side and just like let it begin to dry a little bit so you can see the effect. It's nothing crazy dramatic like straps of hair that aren't blended in, but it just kind of gives the face frame a little bit more regularity. All right, I'm going to proceed on into the back now. We're going to take up some of this length here. This mannequin is already quite kind of layered just from, you know, its natural quality. So I'm not going to do a lot of subsectioning to take the length away. Obviously I could, but in the interest of time, in the interest of knowing there's not a ton of hair here, I'm just going to come in here with the edge of my blade in a nice deep stroke and cut a line that kind of works its way around to the edge of that face frame. And then we're going to do some layering through the back and also some weight removal. So I'm going to pivot off the crown here. I'm going to turn the mannequin around so it's a little bit easier to see. I'm going to bring this hair now right up, all the way up to the ceiling. I've got a guide from the previous side because I already cut it. And first I'm going to square layer from the crown straight out. And I'm going to do that all the way around, pivoting with very slight over direction. You know, again, sometimes people find this challenging. It's probably one of the biggest questions I get with razor cutting. You know, how do I elevate? How do I cut long layers? And you just kind of hold them the way you normally do, and you just rotate the razor around, and then you want to get a nice fluid motion from inside the palm out. So this will be kind of stage one of this. I'm going to start to over direct back so that we don't cut off any of that fun stuff that's in the face frame. So once I get to about the mastoid here, I'm starting to over direct back, and the goal should be that I'll run out of hair as I get closer to the front. Up and back, less hair to cut. I'm going to also come back and many of you watch know Rex can be pretty vocal sometimes. So he's saying hello to everyone. Say hello to Rex and go back to sleep. All right, buddy, enough, enough. All right, now coming through. Since I brought that up and cut square this way, I'm going to actually take vertical sections and now bring them out this way because a ton of hair will be dropping out between the outline and the layers. So now I just want to layer through there. Otherwise it'll just be very, very heavy towards the bottom. So it's kind of like I've just cut a right angle into the hair.
Hair color nerdist struggles with the razor cutting and elevation. She finds that the hair pushes or falls out of the fingers instead of getting cut.
Sounds like a tension issue, and great razor cutting, really you have to practice your tension. You need to use the fine teeth of the comb here to use a great example. Fine teeth of the comb, get the fingers very, very close and taut, and work on having great tension. Also sharp blade. You know, if the blade isn't extremely sharp or you're not hitting it with the grain of the hair, all those things combined would make the hair kind of fall away from your hand. It's probably one of the most common challenges that people have with razor cutting. Number one is getting great tension, and then number two, really understanding how to cut with the grain of the hair with a very sharp blade. Thanks for your question. Love questions, guys. So anything that you want to share, let me know. And again, once I get to that mastoid area, over directing back, switch to the fine teeth because I used the wide, it was a lot of hair, and just little bits here. So again, that skipping at the front, it doesn't produce a crazy dramatic effect, but it does kind of mingle the short and long hair. And again, I want to thank my friend Tom Connell for the inspiration there. I think that's the best thing about, you know, something like Hairbrained. It's about hairdressers being able to inspire each other, learn from each other. And I'm the #1 person that gets the chance to do that because I get to work and hang out with all these great people and then try their ideas. So now using a slicing technique, kind of sketching with the tip of the blade up into those last few inches of hair, just to kind of lighten those layers even a little bit more. And again, that would probably be just about it. It's a very simple technique I wanted to share with you guys. You know, here on Instagram, doing these lives a little bit differently, having half the head cut so that you can kind of see the idea, and then really focusing on very simple techniques that you can, you know, watch for a few minutes and then take and run with. So whether it be the way that I layered the hair, or any advice that I might have given you on how to use the blade, or just thinking about that face frame and how you could start to incorporate that kind of, those little dropped out pieces. Working through, last few inches of the hair, just kind of tickling the ends of the hair with the blade. You can see it dropping out around the front. That's like, I think, a nice example where you can see the short and long pieces and how subtle and quite beautiful that can be.
Courtney was wondering the name of the website. Would that be the HB Live or?
Hairbrained.live is our online academy. We have several classes there that are complimentary from our partners like Davinez, K18, over the years, other different brands, whether it be Sebastian. And then we've also got a paid subscription. It's as low as $7.80 a month to access the whole library. So head over to Hairbrained Live Academy. It's actually hairbrained.live, and check it out. So I'm not going to diffuse dry here, but you can see the idea. I'm going to add a little bit more grooming cream, one of my all-time favorite products. Almost every texture of hair that I razor, I love to have grooming cream in the hair. And I just kind of, I've already got some in there from even when I started cutting. Really just grabbing, scrunching, bringing out that curl and texture in the hair. Shaping a little bit. This side was already dry, but it's gotten a little damp. But you can kind of see the idea. Obviously, you're going to have these kind of deliberate, fun inconsistencies. Also using another one of my all-time favorites, Curls and Waves. This is the Hydrating Serum from Goldwell. So I will do some diffuse drying, and we'll post the image. And we'll also kind of do a shorter version of this for Reels. So I'm going to do a little bit of drying. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Take something away from it. See you next week.